Sailing for days in the open sea, hunting the blood of my enemies, searching for gold with Gilmekki, we're the pirates of the coast.
This is Rich. Now, you are watching not me playing a game, but this is a cool little idea that Josh Roby and I had. So Josh, how are you doing, Josh?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Josh Roby, game designer, guy behind like Smallville and like awesome super games that I adore, Sons of Liberty. Oh gosh, what was the V series, right? Verdant Valley and
Yeah. Yeah, I should know what those are called, huh?
Whoops, sorry, I should have given you.
Vicious Crucible. There we go.
There we go. So
I'm professional. I was actually just telling my daughter in the car today, I'm to the point where I no longer remember what's in all my books.
Oh, that's what happens when you're prolific, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I quite qualify as prolific, but there's a threshold, apparently, after which you're like, what was in that one? I don't remember. Or maybe just I'm getting old.
Well, regardless, both of us are huge fans of the Stars series known as Black Sails, which is a pirate show.
Arr.
We are also big fans of the role-playing game known as Apocalypse World by D. Vincent Baker.
You actually have a hard copy. I just play off of PDF.
I have hard copies and beat to crap and... Yep.
That's well used. My PDF is also well used, but it doesn't quite show as much wear.
That's that kind of cool thing about a PDF. So I don't know, Josh. Like I swear, it's like the writers of Black Sails play Apocalypse World. We're going to talk about that, right?
Yes, it totally is. I don't understand why this show is insanely popular amongst the indie game crowd, because it's totally Apocalypse World on a pirate ship. It's really cool, and I don't know why people don't watch it. So maybe we could amend that slightly with talking about it and geeking out about it.
Exactly. So we're going to hopefully talk about things that you find interesting, even if you decide not to watch the show. If you're interested in Apocalypse World, how the moves work, our view on player characters, setting up hard moves, soft moves, all that good stuff, you can really find great examples from Black Sails, and we're going to talk about that. So, hey, it started with a pretty strong pilot, and Josh, you had the idea of like breaking these guys down as PCs. You want to tackle that?
Well, first we should note that some of these character names may sound familiar, and that's because the source material for the show is kind of odd, but it doesn't really matter. So, briefly, this is a prequel to Treasure Island. Half of the characters are the characters from Treasure Island, except it's Captain Flint and John Silver and Billy Bones and all these people that you see later at the end of their lives and careers, and this is the beginning. And the other half are actual historical pirates like Anne Bonny, Jack Rackham, and Charles Vane. However, that doesn't matter at all. So it's interesting, and maybe eventually they'll like tie things together in an interesting way or something. But right now, that's just where they pulled their ideas from to make this cool show.
Yeah, I honestly had no idea that there were actual historical pirates used in this, and I kind of recognized the names of John Silver and Flint, but I was halfway through season 1 before I saw the thing where they said, this is a Treasure Island prequel. It did not make a bit of difference to me in my enjoyment.
So yeah, the characters. Let's start with Captain Flint. This is our hard as nails and captain of the main pirate ship. And actually, I don't. Yeah, it's not even the main pirate ship now that I think about it, because the rest of his crew, while interesting, aren't really PCs. So Flint is one of the captains, and he's I have him pegged as a chopper because his because his grip on authority is tenuous at best, and he's super hard ass, badass, but even so, he's barely holding his crew together with both hands. And he's driven, and his drive to get the Urka gold, which we'll deal with in a minute, but it's his drive to get this gold that drives most of this show, and he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the idea, Josh, we talked about before, where you said, if each of these were player characters, the first scene is the MC following them around. And Captain Flint's very first scene is, I'm taking over another ship. I'm pirating. That's how we start off.
The MC says, "What do you do on a normal day?" And Captain Flint's answer is, "I'm taking another ship for its booty." And so yeah, that sets the whole game up. And so in the pilot, one of my favorite scenes is a great example of an MC hard move. You've got Flint is there with Billy Bones, and they're talking with a very important guy whose last name I can never remember, Guthrie. They're talking with Mr. Guthrie, who's very, very important and very rich and powerful, and the Navy officers burst in behind them armed. And so Flint decides, okay, I'm going to go aggro here, and they roll, and Flint fails his roll, totally fails his roll, but the MC wisely decides, it'd be kind of boring to have him captured. So here's the hard move. You totally get away. You totally take out the Navy man. You're totally awesome, except in that firefight, you accidentally shoot Guthrie. Now you've got to take care of Guthrie while he's fatally shot and running from the law. Good luck with that. It's a fantastic twist that moves things. Actually, it's not a twist, it's a tilt, technically. But it really propels the rest of that episode forward by the MC not saying you lost a roll so you suck, but you lost a roll so your life gets more complicated. It's really neat. So,
right, and the reason he went to see Guthrie was to kind of decipher some stuff with the treasure map. And so Guthrie's still alive. Now he's got a reason to not just run away from Guthrie, and it makes it more complicated. I agree. That's a great move. So next we'll go with Eleanor, who is totally the hard holder. So Eleanor is this beautiful girl who is her dad's super connected, and she's kind of running the pirate den, as it were. This port is under her purview, more or less.
And this is Eleanor Guthrie. This is Mr. Guthrie's daughter.
Exactly. Good point. Thanks for reminding us on that. So Eleanor is one of the things that I love is that she is all in with Captain Flint. Like, the two of them are super tight allies. And Vane, as you mentioned earlier, that pirate captain, he made a move to subvert those troubles that we talked about before with Captain Flint. He made a move to make that worse. And Eleanor got super pissed. And so she decides, you know what, I'm not worried about talking this through. She walks into a bar, a tavern where Vane is and half of his crew. She walks right up to him and just punches him right in the face, seized by force. And she failed the roll. So she voted to kowtow this guy. So she punches him right in the mouth. And then Captain Vane punches her right back, like decks her. It was scary. Like, I did not expect that. Then he offers her a hand up. Like, here you go. Are you done with that? Now let's go talk. She totally lost face. And then later he threatens, like, if you ever do that again, I'll forget that I loved you. I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, and it immediately sets up a whole bunch of backstory and a whole lot of characterization, like, really, really quickly, easily, succinctly, and effectively. It's lovely. Jack Rackham is our next character, and he is, during the pilot at least, he is Charles Vane's quartermaster, because the pirate ships have a complicated democratic structure, amusingly, which is one of the things that makes this show interesting, because not only is it pirates doing piratey things, and swashbuckles and stealing ships. But there's also a lot of politicking because they have to keep control of their crews, and there are crew elections for captain and for quartermaster and bosun, and so there's all sorts of political goodness involved. So Jack Rackham is the quartermaster for Charles Vane, and Charles Vane is the big scary pirate. And so Rackham's working as his quartermaster, and he's sort of the operator because he's the guy who figures out what they're going to do. he gets them gigs, and the first gig that Jack is going to do in the pilot is stealing some of Flint's crew, because Flint has the best crew, so they're going to totally poach all of his really skilled carpenters and fighters and sailors. And it's a really nice start to the game because it immediately sets up PC versus PC conflicts. It's not just like, oh, we're just going to assume that we're all sort of on the same side and vaguely friendly towards each other because at some point the MC is going to throw badness at us and we need to team up. Jack's like, no, I'm totally taking all your cool chopper gang and going to make them part of our crew. And it's a great setup and immediately gets us into his being like the underhanded, sneaky schemer of the whole setting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Jack Rackham's moment where he goes up to Singleton, who's the person who's challenging Flint, and just sells people out on the crew so that Singleton will know who to take out to take over the ship. And someone asks, like, why would you do that? Because Singleton's a crappy captain. I love that, his logic of just carrying things through, really, really devious. But that leads us to Anne Bonny. Anne Bonny she's almost a faceless. Almost a faceless, because the first season, you hardly ever see, like, she has this cool hat. You can usually see, like, one eye, you know? But I'm going to go with Gunlugger. Yeah, exactly. Do the hair.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep, that's totally.
That's like what you see of her.
Yeah, the closest to a faceless I've ever seen in a show. But I'll stick with Gunlugger. Our MC in the Sky declared it would only be the basic playbooks. Sorry, Breakout. So the scene that I thought was really great is Anne Bonny. Her first introduction when she's doing something is there was a group of pirates who were going to vote for Singleton, and they've been bribed to vote for Flint. Vane shows up with Jack Rackham, and Anne Bonny draws two little swords and hacks them up, and just that's her thing. It was gross, and it was one of those. She seized by force, and she had a hard +2 or +3, and they were toast. And then right after that, she sleeps with Jack. So it's not only we had a sex move, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look up what the Gunlugger's sex move is, and I don't know exactly.
Oh, if someone else gets into shit, then you, or is that the faceless one? Oh man, now I'm questioning myself.
If somebody else gets in trouble because you slept with him, that's totally Anne Bonny and Jack Rackham's relationship right there.
Oh man, I have to look it up. I can't let this be ambiguous. Gunlugger special. If you and another character have sex, take +1 forward. At your option, they get +1 forward as well.
Yeah, that also works. Because they are the duo that works together and is awesome together, except when Anne is not happy with Jack, and then things fall apart.
Oh boy, do they! For mostly him, but also her a little bit. I want to save John Silver for last because I love your take on it, Josh. So I'm going to say Max is the next PC that we introduce to now. What's great about Max is so the very first time we see her is in a scene with a bunch of hookers. She's a hooker. She works at the brothel on the island that they is the main set piece for the show, and she's just one of them. I mean, she seems like she's got a little bit in charge, but then after she is one of like 8 or 9 hookers that are with one guy, John Silver. She shows quite a bit of cleverness and tries to cut a deal with John Silver saying she knows people on the island, and he's trying to sell something, a page ripped from a ledger that he doesn't even know exactly what it means per se. So she's trying to hook him up, and I think she's a Skinner. And the reason I do is right then she wasn't using her Skinner move. She was just being opportunistic. But later, after, remember we talked about Eleanor getting punched in the face? First person she goes to see is Max. And Max cares for her, and you can totally see the way the Skinner is manipulating somebody. She like sits on Eleanor's lap, and she's got a little bit of wet rag dabbing on her face, and her quote was, "Oh, I'm your port in the storm." I mean, that is such a Skinner manipulation quote, man. So she's totally a Skinner.
Yeah. By contrast, John Silver we're introduced to him as he is actually on the ship that Flint is boarding in the first scene. And he is trying to hide from the fighting because he doesn't want to die. And he finds the cook in the galley, and the cook is also hiding. The cook explains that cooks are in short supply, so he'll totally get to join the pirate crew. And then they fight over the treasure map thing, and the cook dies. And when Flint's crew get to John Silver, he says, "I'm the cook. You want to hire me?"
Yes.
And so they hire him on. And so this is why I tag John Silver as the battle babe. And he's not the super sexy battle babe. He is the cool as a cucumber, clever. You can't pin him down, battle babe. Excuse me.
Yeah. There's a point later in that same episode where he's talking with Max, and they're kind of scheming together, and he said, "Listen, this is a really bad idea, me trying to sell this treasure map. I can't help myself. You can get out." And I love that. He sees an opportunity, he goes for it. That's a very battle babe kind of thing. He just survives.
Yeah, and in fact, as we were talking about, Max is one of the women that John Silver is basically thrown into a pile of women as his initiation to the pirating life. And then the next scene is when he wakes up and she's there, and she knows that he's got this page that is worth something, and she is totally like expecting, like, "I totally just had the sex ors with you, and you will be in my thrall because I'm the Skinner." And he's like, "What? No, what? No, I've got a thing, and maybe we could work together. Do you think?" And he's completely level-headed about it, and you could see her like, "That's not how this is supposed to work." Because he's the battle babe, so his sex move just canceled hers out. It's lovely.
Oh, I did not even catch that, man, Josh. That is so clever. Oh, and the Skinner, of course, is like, "Give me a gift," because of the sex move, and that he's all battle babe, like, "Psh, doesn't happen." It's great.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Awesome. So our normal structure, what we're going to try to do is go through each of the episodes for as long as we are having fun. And if people love it, that's awesome. If we're still having fun, we're going to probably keep doing it. And the structure may be more of a highlight of the episode and cool scenes to highlight aspects of Apocalypse World, how it applies in the show. But
because really, I think the utility we're going for here is that Black Sails is a really nice primer for how Apocalypse World can run. So you can use this as a lot of examples and a lot of structured guide for, and then you can do this, you could do this. Here's a thing that you can do, and here's a way that you can set up your character or form a front or all of this different stuff. So we're going to use it as an object lesson, basically.
Yeah, and some of these conversations with Josh have already taught me a lot about Apocalypse World, so maybe at some point I'll teach him a thing or two.
Oh yes, I'm sure that will happen.
All right, so now we're going to shift gears. Oh, sorry, Josh, did you have any more?
I was just going to say, I'm not that conversant, but it's a fabulous game and an awesome show. So peanut butter and chocolate.
really wish I had not given up candy for Lent. Just saying. Now you made me want a Reese's Cup, that's all I'm saying.
Oh,
Okay. So, I'm not a Catholic. I just think Lent's a great opportunity to break bad habits. So, there we go. So now we're going to go to the running part of Bsawr, because Josh and I like jogging. I think we're both former fatties who decided to get out on the road and burn off some of it. I literally started running before I turned 40. It was a couple years before I turned 40. I've been running for 4 years now. And I did it specifically because I burned more calories running than any other exercise, and I needed to lose a lot of weight.
I also started a few years before 40, but that was this year, so.
A few years before 40, but that's this year. Thanks.
You're welcome.
What we're saying is Josh is younger than me.
Yes. Also, I haven't been running quite as long.
That's true, and that's what I think is really cool is that we're both at different stages of later in life runners who kind of caught the bug. Josh, you just showed me your medal wall, and that's awesome.
Yesterday we ran a 5K with my wife and my daughter. We ran the 5K at Knott's Berry Farm, which is an amusement park that is built out of a berry farm, which I realize now seems really weird, but it's normal here in Southern California. But because it's Knott's Berry Farm, at the end of the run they give you a slice of pie in addition to the medal. So that was nice.
It does sound nice. Yeah, here I'm in Jacksonville, and there's a thing that happens around June, which is pretty tough. It's an evening run because it can get a little hot in Jacksonville. But it's called the Run for the Pies, and the top 200 finishers get a pie.
They only have 200 slices.
Get a whole pie, dude. Whole pie.
Oh, a whole pie. Wow.
Yeah, but these are people who are running a 5K in like 18 minutes, so.
Yeah. Pie.
So let's talk real quick and let's set some goals. And the next time we meet together, we'll see how we're coming along. So why are you jogging right now? What are you training for, Josh?
So in May I'm going to be doing my first half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. And that will be the Tinkerbell Marathon because my family are Disney freaks, and so we do all the Run Disney marathons, which basically thread the course through the theme park, and there are photo op opportunities with characters, and like half the people running the race also cosplay. It's insane. It's totally bizarre. And but see, it works because running itself is such a bizarre thing. It's like, I'm going to voluntarily run in a giant circle for basically no reason, and so so you just layer on top of that, and Buzz Lightyear is going to be there. I'm going to run through an amusement park, and I'm going to be dressed as Han Solo. And then it all starts making sense because nothing makes any sense at that point. And then when you're on, mile 25 of your marathon, you just keep going because this is the thing you are doing, whether or not it makes sense. But all of that is to say, we're doing a half marathon at Disneyland in May, and then come January, my wife and I are going to do the Disney Marathon at Disney World, which is 26.2 miles. That'll be our first marathon. It'll be interesting. I haven't yet got up to half marathon in training, so I'm close. My longest run was like 11 miles. So I'm like 2 miles away from a half marathon. I'm almost there, and
if you could do 11,
hop, skip, and a jump to 26 from there.
Exactly, that's what they say. No, if you can do 11, you can absolutely do 13. You're going to get so much adrenaline and stopping a lot for photo ops. You're not going to get nearly as tired, I think, as you'd probably do on your training run. So it's going to be cool. You're good, man. And how long away is that? Did you say a few months out?
Oh no, the marathon is in January. So
the half marathon is when?
Half marathon is in May.
May. Cool. I have been on the fence about there's an annual run here called the Gate River Run. It is a 15K, which is 9.3 miles. It's a pretty fantastic run. I would say it's the most popular run in Jacksonville and surrounding areas, there are thousands upon thousands of people. Literally, the first 2 miles of this run, it's like Tetris. I don't know if you've ever been in a 5K that's super, super busy, and you got all like, they run it in 4 waves this time. They're running it in 4 waves this time because there's just so many people that try to, and there's even qualifying for it to get in the earlier heats. And I've been on the fence. I kind of fallen off the wagon with running when it got cold, and I'm finally back on track for the last month with a good buddy of mine. We run in the morning. So for the gate, I've been like, should I go? Should I not go? The furthest I've run lately is a 6. I know I could do a 9, but I won't do anywhere near the time that I did a few years ago. So I'm just going to commit. If you're gonna do your half, let me check in again. I will have done the gate. The gate, and I'll tell you about the gate because like the finishing of the gate's awesome, but I can't talk about it unless I go do it. So I'm going to go do the gate.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, that's it. That's Black Sails, Apocalypse World, and running. You got any sign-offs, Josh?
No, I think we're good. This was cool. This was fun. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. Cool. Thanks.